Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Octane absolutely going off on the main stage last night, playing some 2v2 wagers with Havoc. They go against a 2v2 team that had a very spicy scenario after a smoke grenade comes out, a one-way smoke comes through, and he gets a couple of kills, gets the bomb defused. Octane not happy with this particular play at all, says the guy's going to get slammed for the rest of his career and won't achieve anything in Call of Duty from now on into the future, and then completely tortures the map 2 and 3 of the series, and they take the victory regardless. Plenty of other storylines though as well. Very much into your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Couple of quick things on GAs. This was spotted here from Cody Careful that, well, this, I don't even know, to be honest, at this point, what this attachment is. So, you know, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. But this guy apparently is using an attachment which reduces ADS speed, bullet velocity, increases, or improves, I guess, vertical recoil, horizontal recoil, firing aim stability, and shortens pings on the radar, which is, you know, it's not something that usually an attachment is designed or typically would do. But now, people have looked into this and say that it's actually very, very marginal. If you're firing full auto, it barely seems to make any difference at all, but it's still quite an interesting one that RCTs apparently is looking into and trying to figure out, okay, you know, is this a big deal? Because if it is, then maybe that's something that should be added to the GA list. But again, it's one of these funny things where there's just infinite attachments in these games at the moment that just do all sorts of stuff. There was also this from S&D Dylan kind of pointing out a number of jump spots here on Karachi, which I thought was really quite nice. One of the ends here, I don't know what you guys think about this. I mean, a few of these we will be aware of and know, but he's pointing out a few. This final one, though, that he says is kind of crazy. If you get up here on this side of the map and you aim at this kind of manhole cover, you can just stand on something in the middle of nowhere. Now, this is obviously an off angle, and you can get slammed from multiple different angles if you try and do this. But, you know, nonetheless, there is like a, you know, pixel glitch you can get on top of. I don't know how consistent it is to try and do this, but, you know, this is obviously an important spot to try and hold down this lane, especially given that the B-bomb site is right over there. So it would be a little bit strange, but, you know, in a 1v1 situation, I don't know if you guys, what do you think about this? Because I guess technically that should probably be GA'd, but I don't know what would happen if a pro was to do that in a particularly important scenario, and you know, unintended line of sight and all that, like Clayster said, way back in the Black Ops 3 days. Just quickly from JP as well. Obviously, in the past, a lot of the teams have had access behind the scenes to the CDL's backend stats database and API. That this season is no longer a thing. If you guys go on the COD League website, for example, the last, couple of years, they've put the stats on the website, which is, you know, it's pretty cool, right? Fair play. They actually made that work. They had an API that would, you know, rip the data from the game, and data that was, you know, quite difficult to acquire doing it manually, like we always did on the Breaking Point stuff. So, you know, that was pretty good that the CDL had access to that, and also that it was shared with the teams and the players. And this has been a thing for years that's been possible. It's never been the same way that it is in like CS or in Valorant, where a legit API exists that you can just take straight to a website and get all of the stats for the entire game. That has kind of been a thing in COD, and, you know, you can get stats on, I mean, even back in, like, Black Ops 1 and stuff, you could get numbers on how many steps you'd run, like, during your entire career. Like, they tracked everything, and these type of things are tracked, or at least have been tracked, for official CDL matches. And this is for several years. Now, from a public perspective, this has never been available, but quite often the teams have been able to access this and have been given access by Activision to, you know, use that data for their own analytics. This season, though, it's dead. For whatever reason, the API basically doesn't exist anymore. That, I think, is why it doesn't exist on the CDL website. Everything you have to track manually. If you want to figure out who won a rotation, if you want to figure out, like, you know, how many points teams had 120 seconds into the game, 200 seconds into the game, or whatever, you have to calculate that manually and literally write it down. Or you can do what JP is setting up, which is like an automatic capture for data, which will read the screen and, you know, therefore calculate what is happening at certain moments to put that into a database itself. So as JP says, setting up an automatic capture for data that was previously given to you by an API, which now no longer exists, or, you know, maybe it does still exist, but the access, for whatever reason, has been restricted to all parties, which never, you know, I imagine that it just doesn't exist anymore. So, as JP says, when the technology isn't there yet, maybe it isn't even applicable, because the technology most certainly is there, and it's been there for many years, and as we enter year 5 of the CDL, we've managed to, congratulations everyone, we've taken a massive step backwards. So JP and the other analyst guys have to now do their own coding and create their own software to try and make this work manually, whereas it's previously been automatic. So, quality league we really have on our hands here, right? It's got to be said. There's also this from XinNii on Gunless, because Gunless, phenomenal player in his prime, one of the most fun players to watch ever. We know that the way the Vanguard season went, that's not really been the case for the last couple of years. Still got the talent, but it's not like he's been dominating challenges precisely. But as XinNii says, there are a ton of deserving players, but it's appalling to see Gunless playing in challenges, which is, quite the same one I think from XinNii. But I get it, right? And I think you can apply this to others. At the end of the day, all the players that are in the Pro League, you can argue which ones are replaceable, but there's so many players that could be argued to be deserving of a spot. Even if you put Biffle in there, there's an argument that, well, he's obviously a talented player. The organization that was going to sign him understands that, he's going to bring some, eyeballs and content and this type of stuff to the organization. So, you can even argue that's deserving in some ways, although many would say that it's not deserving. He's never played COD on this kind of level, on these game modes and stuff in his life, really, which is also a fair point. But even if you don't think about players like that, just anyone that's played in the CDL before is in the top part of challenges, you can argue they're all deserving. But unfortunately, there's only so many spots. Gunless actually confirms here in the replies that he would have taken the bare minimum to play on any team, as I honestly just want to compete and win, but unfortunately, here we are. So, yeah, Gunless says that if he's got, any offer from a Vegas or Ravens or anywhere, he would have gone for it. And I'm kind of confused, not exactly confused, but, there's a few spots such as, we talked about Awakening spot earlier today on Rocker, where we talked about, GodRX's spot on the Ravens team. Maybe there's a chance there. I also wonder, what about the Clay Gunless thing? Because back in the E-United FaZe days in Infinite Warfare, they, made the swap, right? Gunless went one way to FaZe, and Clay went the other way to E-United. So, they never really played together, apart from in, an all-star match back in 2018 or something. So, maybe there's a world in which this could happen, or maybe, they should at least think about it, right? Because when Gunless is available in that kind of role, you've got to weigh up your options. But on the topic of gentlemen's agreements, I'm going to show another couple of clips here from Octane's stream. So he didn't put the camera on for whatever reason. Maybe he was, probably pretty hungover, I imagine, after New Year's Eve. I don't know. You guys read between the lines. But he was playing some wagers here. Havoc was playing a 1v1 S&D tournament. I'm guessing these are wagers that they're playing anyway, because I don't think it was maybe it was a deep 2v2 tournament, but the way they slammed them on map 2 and map 3, I'm guessing these are wagers. And map 1, Octane and Havoc were playing. It was a Karachi search and destroy. Goes down to a round 11, and I think even Octane clutched a 1v2 to get it to the round 11. But in the round 11 situation, the bomb is planted. It looks like a guaranteed dub for Havoc and Octane. The smoke then comes down, and then a very interesting use of one-way smokes occurs to get a couple of kills, defuse the bomb, and Octane then absolutely goes off on this guy as a result, to such a degree that they decided to go balls to the wall, try hard for the next couple of maps of the series.
I'll get next.
I got it, you're good. Just hide till I die. Snort it.
Ooh. Damn.
The enemies defused our bomb.
Yo, you are dog shit, brother.
Didn't think about that angle. I'm gonna be honest.
With my whole heart, with 10 years of Call of Duty, you are dog shit.
We got 5 rounds there. I'll take that.
I just got one-weight harder than I've ever been one-weight in my entire life.
Nice try, bro.
Literally ever, Colt. I just got one-weight harder than I've ever been one-weight in my life.
Damn, I should have. Yeah, I should have jumped.
Holy. Nah, bro, you're actually terrible. Yeah, you don't have a mic either to defend. You're dog shit. You're terrible, brother. I promise you're terrible.
One-way smoke me.
Like what?
You got a one-way smoke me because you can't win a gunfight, you shit stain.
What you want me to do? Shut the fuck up.
You're dog shit. I promise you're terrible. I promise you're terrible. I promise.
Hey, let's just be friends, bro. We're chilling.
Friends.
Don't
That is
one-way
terrible.
anymore.
You know, one-way me to win a gunfight, shit stain. All you play is OLTs. You'll never be anything in COD.
I don't care.
Oh God, you guys are terrible. I promise you guys are dog shit. I swear to God. I promise on everything I love.
Hey, he's just messing around.
No, I'm not. I swear on everything that I love. Both. You have you got 0 kills. Oh my God.
Yeah, no. What he really means, I'll translate in French. Good luck.
Damn, man, they don't get a host. That's unfortunate. No, where's the mic at, man? Put the mic in. You're so confident after map 1. Put the mic back in.
I would advise not to put the mic.
So after then slamming them 6-2 on the second map, they took him to a skid row, and it was a quick 6-0, and Octane was shooting bodies and all this type of stuff. So, you know, pretty funny that this guy, after getting those 2 pieces right through the smoke grenade, Octane then called him out, and then I think he got like barely any kills or just dropped to 0 bombs, straight donut for the next couple of maps in a row. So very interesting, but I did wonder, like, what is the implication of this going forward? Because we know that a one-way smoke is a possibility, it's a feature of the game that's always kind of been a thing, unfortunately, when the smokes exist. And this is the reason why the pros have been not so keen to put smokes into the game in, especially the respawn modes, because it allows kind of some cheese to happen, right? So we know that Drazah got into a bit of drama at the start of Vanguard when he was in a 1v1, dropped a smoke at his feet, and he didn't use it quite in that way that we saw, but he basically just ran around in the smoke and, you know, made it a bit mixy. Dylan Cod used to do this back in MW19. He'd just throw a smoke on the B bomb site, or on the B flag, for example, in Domination, get his knife out, run around and get a load of, you know, stab people through the smoke, which was a bit cheesy, and the pros didn't tend to particularly like that. But in Search and Destroy, one smoke grenade per team is allowed. Like, you know, they are allowed to use it. The pros have agreed that it makes the gameplay better, which I think that it does. But it does open the door to, you know, abuse in that one way. I mean, like, it exists in CS as well. Nowadays, not quite so much because of the new smokes they've designed. But, you know, for 10 years of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, one-way smoke grenades were a thing. They were a problem. They were something that you could abuse, stand on top of them, see over them. Like, you could see through it. They couldn't see you. Now, it's not like, it not quite worked in that way, where he literally couldn't see the guy and he could see as it was like fading out. The CS smokes were always, it was either there or it wasn't, but it was more so that the edges of the smoke in CSGO were not so well defined, like they are, for example, in Valorant, when it's like one clear smoke line, so that you could, if you were closer to the smoke, you would see through it, the other guy couldn't see you. So it's not like this is just a Call of Duty problem, but the way that it was abused there on Octane was pretty egregious, and it's something that you've certainly got to watch out for, because I don't think I've ever seen somebody, you know, one way a smoke quite that hard. It's not something we've really seen the pros do. The pros are using the smoke grenades to cross to the bomb site or whatever. But, you know, in that situation, it was a clever use of the smoke, and it was abusing what is a possibility in the game to get those couple of kills, and Octane and Havoc really stood no chance in that scenario. What happens if a pro does this, I guess, is the question, because, well, the smokes are allowed, and sure, one-weighing the smoke is kind of gentleman's agreement is, what if that happens kind of by accident? I'm running through the smoke, maybe I get stuck on the bus or something, and all of a sudden I find myself in the perfect spot to one-way the guy, and I get the kill. What would the pros say about that? Maybe it's just unlucky, but we know that at the start of Vanguard, there was lots of drama between the players on, you know, whether one-way smokes were being used deliberately or otherwise. In that case, we, I think, can safely say that it was deliberate use, and we saw what Octane and Havoc decided to do for the next couple of maps as a result of it. And, you know, Octane's words are pretty funny, but I think it definitely raises bigger questions on what the reaction would be if that was to happen in the CDL, given that, you know, smoke grenades are allowed, and Champs Grand Finals, you know, maybe when there's money on the line, things might be a bit different. A couple of things to close out the video with. TacticalRab Stats I thought was, this is kind of wild, I'm not going to lie. They've played 4 control maps so far, Ravens, and get this Gwyn man some help. I mean, he has a 1.38 KD in control, which is the 3rd highest in the league, but it's not like Ravens are good at control. I mean, they're actually pretty bad. Rael has a 0.72, GodRx has a 0.75, and Clay, the best of the bunch, has a 0.81. I mean, Rael and GodRx are literally in 2 of the worst 3 players in the league in terms of KD in that mode. And, you know, usually we say, okay, KD, it doesn't mean that much. But in control, it kind of does, right? I mean, kills and deaths are very important in control, in the same way that kills and deaths are very important in search and destroy. And while it's not everything in terms of winning rounds, it is pretty important. Like, if you just die a lot in control, you are just objectively costing your team performance, whereas that's not necessarily the case in Hardpoint, as Doug often likes to try and get across. But this is a big stat to keep your eyes on for the Ravens, because if anything like this continues, they are in for a, you know, hard task, because I'm not expecting Gwyn to keep dropping a 1.4 in control, but I guess I'm also not expecting these guys to continue performing so badly. You would at least think so. There should be some regression on both parts, but maybe Ravens are just going to struggle even more so going into the new year. And just to close out with here from Divinity. So this is the guy that we saw the other day. Doug and other guys were talking about having, made $70,000 in earnings. We don't know how much of that he made while cheating, but it could have been nothing. It could have been a very considerable amount. He said that he only installed the cheats one day before he got caught, but there's questions as to whether people believe that. Now, he has officially been banned for this on Twitch, which is definitely a good thing, but I always wonder, what's the ban for? Is it 2 days? Is it a week? Is he ever going to come back? Is he ever going to be able to come back? Because, as we said, when you've won this money potentially cheating, the question is whether there should be legal repercussions for this, as opposed to whether he should just, be banned. Because often, after he streamed, after he cheated, he then got more viewers to his stream over the next couple of days because people wanted to tune in and, tell him he's trash or whatever the case is, right? So it just feels like, sure, he's been banned on Twitch. That's a good step for sure. But it just feels like often there's very little repercussions, if any, for, cheating for a lot of money, as these guys have been doing, potentially. So, yeah, very much interested in your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.